Oh yeah, it's here! It's here, dog, it's here! How's it going, everyone? Today I've got the most exciting upgrade to the Mustang so far to share with you all. A Roush Axle Back exhaust system, which, as you've probably noticed from my little teaser at the beginning, completely transforms the car and brings that 5-litre V8 to life with a much more appropriate roar in place of that tame little meow you get from the factory silencers. This video follows on directly from my last upload, which showed me installing the BMR jacking rails. I needed to actually get the car jacked up on stands to do this install. I also went out and bought myself a reciprocating saw and metal blades especially for this job, since it requires chopping off the original exhaust system, which is a bit of a weird feeling taking a saw to your brand new 30 grand car, but it's what has to be done. I could have taken it to an exhaust shop for them to do the job much quicker and saved myself from having to buy a new tool, but half the fun of owning these cars is spending time tinkering and upgrading bits yourself. At least I'll have a new power tool to use for any future DIY jobs I might have to do. So since I've used the words Roush Axle Back exhaust install in the title, I suppose I best explain the actual process of fitting the system for anyone who stumbled onto my video who has also just taken delivery of their Roush Axle Backs. First things first, get the car jacked up or placed on ramps so you can get under the rear of the car. You'll need a reciprocating saw, also known as a sawzall in the US. Over here, Screwfix have a fairly cheap Titan brand that you can combine with some herb orchard blades for any fellow Brits who are watching. Other items include a 15mm deep socket to tighten up the clamps and a couple of spare axle stands or some kind of supports for the original silencers so they don't conk you on the head when you've chopped them off. Remember, they're only held on by one exhaust hanger other than the pipe that you're going to cut through. The original exhaust pipe needs cutting just after the first bend, tracing it back from the silencer at the point where the bend turns into a straight line again. There's no exact measurements, but I left about a finger's width from the inside of the curve. Using the saw looks much easier in the videos where garages have the car up on a proper lift, but doing it on your back is still achievable. Oh, and make sure you're wearing your safety glasses. I could feel the tiny bits of metal hitting my face as I was cutting, especially on the side where the vent for the saw's fan motor was blowing towards me. I can't imagine steel shavings embedded into your cornea feel great. Once you've cut through the pipe, pull the silencer towards the front of the car to pull the metal bar from the rubber exhaust hanger, then marvel at the size and weight difference between the stock mufflers and these new Roushes. Grab a file, then crawl back under the car to give the cut edge a quick shave to remove any burrs. Figure out which side is which for the Roush silencers and slip on one of the collars. Leave the tips for now, it's best to add them as a finishing touch so you don't scratch them. Slide the metal bar onto the rubber hanger first, then slot it over the remaining pipe. Give it a wiggle to push it on as far as it'll go. This is a good time to loosely fit those tips so you can visualise the position in relation to the rear valance. You can then adjust the silencer into place and tighten up the clamp, putting some pressure on the silencer to hold it in place if necessary. You can then spend the most time-consuming part of this whole install trying to perfectly line up the little embossed Roush logo on the tips exactly vertically. I also clamp the tips on a little further out rather than all the way in, just so that they poke out a little bit. Now, you could do the cutting in one go, but I always find that if you do one side fully, then the other side doesn't usually take half as long. Once everything is tightened up, it's time to give it a start and hear the magic. Right, are we ready? Can I put the windows down? That's what a Mustang's meant to sound like. Right, let's get down off axle stands and go for a drive. So there we go, I'm really loving the sound improvements so far. My original choice was actually between the Magnaflow axle backs and the Roush axle backs. The Magnaflows have a nice deep rumble, but the Roush have that recognisable muscle car sound without too much raspiness. It's true what the reviews say too, they give you the sound you want under spirited driving, and a slightly more audible rumble during idle, but for normal cruising they're really subtle. I'm actually tempted to go for an H-pipe in place of the centre resonator already, but I think I'll wait until I've been to a few meets and heard that setup for real. I think the Roush axle backs alone are definitely still neighbour friendly. For my first test drive I went to my favourite spot where I like to go whenever I'm feeling hungry for some donuts. There was a group of young lads in the cars already there, so I decided to be courteous and ask if they'd mind if I made some noise. The fellows kindly obliged.
Oh yeah, go on. Hang on then, hang on, let me turn it round.
You see that?
So I hope you enjoyed this little install video. If it's the first video of mine you've seen, be sure to stick around on the channel to keep up with all my upcoming Mustang content. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.